Hey, welcome to my Travel Ones podcast. Today I'm lucky to have Ryan Motes. Ryan is a team roper. How are you today, Ryan?
I'm doing well, Pete.
Appreciate the time, bud.
You bet.
You were the first cowboy I ever officially met, I think. I know you
Perfect.
You don't remember those times, but
Come on now.
come on now. You're a 5-time NFR qualifier.
Yeah.
You've been in the business for your whole life. So I was really excited to talk to you because you've been traveling even back to with your dad back in the day, right?
Yeah, for us, rodeoing throughout the year, travel is just what you have to do. It's the thing that there's no getting around it. We all want to travel less, but there's, for us, we're on the road, 50, 60,000 miles a year going from, traveling from rodeo to rodeo, and there's no getting around it. We run pretty much the same, travel the same roads, throughout the same times of the year, every year. But yeah, we're gone quite a bit, and I've rodeoed for, I guess, almost 20 years now, close to it. So yeah, we've had plenty of time in the truck.
Well, and like I said, when your dad was competing in the summertimes, were you going out with him and hitting all the rodeos, summer rodeos?
Yeah. Through the summer, we would, we loaded up, and he traveled. Basically, I went to a lot of the same places I get to go to now. And so yeah, just plenty of time. I remember in the summertime, getting the load up, and it was like a road trip, summer road trip for us.
One of the things I wanted to ask you is, like you said, you've been going to Cheyenne for 20 years and Salt Lake and a lot of the same rodeos over the last 20 years. Do you ever go and take time to see what's around that you haven't seen before, or are you kind of been there, done that?
We've kind of you kind of take it for granted a little bit, but when we go to Salinas, we go to Monterey. When you go different places, go to Deadwood, South Dakota, you kind of go uptown and check out the old town every year. And there's places, and we go to Houston. My brother's got a brewery down there in Houston. So, every year you go to Houston, go check out Eureka Heights. And, when you go to Corpus Christi, you go out and check out the ocean, and there's just things you do, different places you are. So we do get we do get some downtime. Some of the bigger rodeos, you seem to have more downtime, and some of the smaller rodeos, you are in and out and don't get to spend as much time at some places as you'd like. But we stay in Ellensburg, Washington, at Brady Miner's place all fall. The Northwest for us. The Northwest runs all fall, so we get to hang out up there, and you get to go do fun things, and go check out the ocean and go check out different places that you kind of take for. You don't realize that, a lot of people don't get to go, all over the country like we get to and see different things.
I know that was the one thing when I started traveling a lot more across the states. I would come home and people would be like, "Oh, did you go to that museum or did you go to there?" And I'm like, "No, I just went and worked." So all of a sudden I started taking time out and adding a half day to my travel. Instead of flying home at 9 in the morning, I'd fly home at 6 at night, and then I'd take that half day and go see something.
Yeah, go check out something. But no, it's been, like I said, we try, we try to go check out things when there's different things. And Courtney, my wife picks stuff, and when we're headed somewhere, we'll make plans of it, and go check different things out, just depending on where we're at.
So the quarantine that we're going through isn't necessarily affecting you because you travel with Courtney anyways, right?
Yeah, for me,
it's just another day.
It's just
for me,
day,
I'm so, for a lot of us, the marriage is, you go out to work for 8 hours or 10 hours or whatever, and you come home. All of a sudden, it's day in, day out.
Yeah,
but you're doing that already.
We're doing it already, and for us, they just, for our, it's I guess the 1st of April, and so for us, we're in a spot where the winter, basically ends in March for us. So basically our winter rodeos are over, and that's the big stock shows. The Fort Worth, the Denvers, the places that San Antonio, all the big stock shows are through the winter, and basically January through the end of March is when Austin ends. And for us, we were at Houston when the whole deal started, I guess, basically, and and that was when they shut down the rodeo at Houston. And so for us, we've been down there and we'd ran 2 steers at Houston, and how you run three steers in your set, and then you go home, and then they come back for the semifinals later. And so for us, we were waiting to run our 3rd steer. We'd made the semifinals. We were just hanging out, and they just basically shut it down. And so for us, not basically, they just shut it down. And so for us, we came back home, and we skipped. We had to miss Houston and Austin. But for us, right now, it really hasn't changed that much. Day to day for us is being home and practicing and training, and it hasn't really changed that much for us. Some of my horses that we rodeo on and haul all the time, they've got a nice break right here, and they've just been getting some time off, and we've been able to work with some younger horses, and we've been getting to spend more time training some younger horses and things like that. But for us, hadn't been off the ranch in 14 days, so for us, it's not that abnormal, other than getting to go around a little bit. But the springtime normally for us here in Texas is pretty nice, and we try to spend as much time home as we can this time of year, and then we fire back up in June and are just slammed busy. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with our summer. As our summer run starts to get closer, what's going to take place with all that.
On a typical year, how many days have you figured out how many days of the year you're on the road and not at home?
Oh, I don't even know. Through the winter for us living in Texas, we're gone. I've been to 10 rodeos so far this year. We go to 65 total is how many we can go to, and we get to pick and choose. And so there's rodeos going on all over in the spring. They're just a little more scattered out. So for me, I enjoy being home. And so for me, I take this time of year and stay home. So I've been to 10 rodeos and probably on average, I've probably been gone a month so far of the year, basically. Okay. The nice thing for us is everything's pretty close. Living in Texas, we don't have to, there's people sitting in my house down here at our place all winter from different places in America. But for us, we get to be home throughout the winter, and then about the time it gets hot in Texas, we
get to leave.
We load up and go. Yeah, we load up and go. But I'll leave. I've basically been gone 30 days probably now so far, close to it, and have been getting to be home quite a bit throughout the winter. We're gone, 2 and 3 days at a time. We go to Houston for 3 days. We go to San Antonio for 3 days, and then back home, and then back out to San Antonio, and went to Tucson. So you're out there for a couple, 2 or 3 days at a time, and then you get to come back home. But we're typically in June is when we get busy, the end of June, and we load up and go to Reno, the first summer rodeo that we really go to. And we go to the Bob Price Invitational out there in Reno, and then the rodeo right with it. And we leave in June and get back in September pretty much is how it goes. So we get a good, July, August, and September, we're gone basically the entire time. And so probably throughout the year, I'd say we're pretty well gone 3 months through the summer, maybe 3.5, and then a month throughout the earlier. So, and then gone to, for Vegas for the NFR for a couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks. Yeah, hopefully. So 2.5 weeks then. But we'll probably travel 5 months of the year we're gone. And I probably, where we live and how the approach we taking the springtime off and staying home anyhow, I probably travel less than the majority of the people.
Well, I think that's, at least for me, because I'm the same way. People are like, oh my God, you're on the road so much. I'm like, well, yeah, but when I'm home, I'm home.
Right.
I'm not leaving 5 days a week, for 10 hours a day. So when I'm gone, I'm gone. And then when I'm home, I'm home.
Right. So. Yeah. And it's just different, I think, than some people. Some people, drive to work 5 days a week, and work a regular 9 to 5 job. And then you have their weekends off. And for us, we're swamped through the summer, and that's just how it is. There's no getting around it. Yeah. But we're home, spring, fall, we're home. And, so it makes it pretty nice.
Well, I know you were a full-time cowboy when you met Courtney, so she kind of knew what she was getting into. Have you seen?
Yeah, we didn't.
Somewhat. But
she loves it.
I know.
She loves the travel part of it. I enjoy being home. I've traveled quite a bit, but she gets excited when we're that's her biggest deal. She loves being gone and traveling around and seeing the different things. And she is, for our deal, Courtney's a dental hygienist, and for our deal, I'd rodeoed quite a bit off and on, and in 2011, which has been 10 years now, most of the time I had always kind of stayed home and worked a little bit and did this and still tried to be as good as I could be, but had never really put full on, like you said, like another sport athlete would, and my training time just being my training time. And I'd always be gone, and Courtney would be at home and everything, and be to the point where when I'm loaded up and gone for 3 months, I just was ready to get home. And in 2011, we decided we were going to do it full time. And, she left her job, and I said, that's for me. We take our 2 dogs and horses and my wife on the road with me. So it makes being gone, more enjoyable for us. We get to, a lot of guys will travel, 4 guys will travel together, and it definitely saves on fuel and saves on the amount of driving you have to do. But for us, we've got our living quarters trailer. It's like a home away from home. So we've got a nice big boomer trailer, and we can load up, we take 4 horses with us, or 3 at least, when we leave for the summer, and our dogs. And, we just kind of have normal life out on the road. It's just part of it. We go stay at a lot of our friends' houses when we're gone, along the way. And so, for us, it's like taking a bit of a working vacation type of a trip. But, being gone without having, when Courtney was working, there was times, obviously, when we've had bad years that, it would be nice to have that extra income, but there's no way that I would be able to put in the full time of training, practicing here at the house and getting ready to go, and then being gone. There's no way I could do it without, with having her working a full time job, without having her help. No way to do it.
I hear you. Yeah, I was going to ask you, how many relationships have really struggled? And I guess, like my wife married me when I had the job I have now, so she knew kind of coming into it, hey, this is how many weeks I'm gone a year. And
right.
I think it would be difficult if your spouse doesn't understand your road tendencies and your travel, the length of time you're on the road.
You're gone so much that in a traveling job, a rodeoing or whatever it is, if you're talking about being gone. So I said, if you don't, we're lucky we live where we live, and we're able to be home most of the winter. But, for somebody that, there's people from back east that, they don't get to rodeo back over there. They spend most of their time over here. So their winters all spent over here in Texas, basically getting to be home a few days out of it. And then they travel right back, load right back up, and they're busy traveling through the summer. And so they don't really get to, they might spend more time away from their spouse than they do with their spouse. And if, it'd be hard on a relationship. And so, as I said, if she can't go with me, then I'm not gonna go currently.
I hear you. Well, and she's so good on the road, and she likes to travel, so that's got to help. Versus someone that's just bitching about it.
Yeah, no kidding. She like I said, she likes to be honest. She makes it. We can, like I said, you make it where you're not just. There's times you're busy and you're just running all over the place, but when you get to stop and go see things, go see, all sorts of different places, and go. I don't want to go load up by myself and go see Mount Rushmore, but if we're hanging out in Deadwood and my wife's with me, then we do, and you'll go check out, go all kinds of different places that we get to go, and you don't want to go check out Monterey by yourself, but it's a lot more enjoyable, so we get to go check out all kinds of different things together, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable, and not quite as stressful being gone that much.
Yeah, I totally agree. One of the things that you also do is you train horses and you give lessons and all that.
Right.
How much time do you have to spend on that?
The horse training deals, there's no written, number that you can give. we raise everything, everything that I ride, something that we've raised right here. And so typically, I don't really, I can't use them for the level of competition I need until they're basically at least 7. They've got some fraternities and stuff, and we train some for the fraternities. And, for what we do, they when the fraternity is 6 and under, and so for the roping fraternities, you're at least competing against everything that's 6 and under. But rarely do we get one that is, rarely do we get a horse that's young and, that's under 7 years old. So you're basically invested in them 7 years before we really get to use them. And that's not just at all, most of the bigger events and stuff. Those horses that people have are typically, 10 to 12 to 14 years old, if not some of the veterans, at the NFR. I think a couple of years ago, the average horse at the NFR was, I think, 17 or 18 years old, just to depend on something like that. So, for us, we spend a lot of time and we put a lot of time in on them in the spring and the fall. And then, ours, basically, my young horses, they just get time off through the summer. So they just get turned out and get to rest and kind of go be a horse through the summer. And then they're back, right now through this quarantine. That's, our horses, my young horses, I said they're either going to be really trained or they're going to be tired of seeing me, because we've been, normally through this time of year, even in the spring, we're home quite a bit, but we still go a few places here and there. We're gone a day or two at a time. And so, you're also working with and having to work with your, practice and keep your, work with your older, your good horses and exercise them. And this has been, we got back from Houston and I haven't been on any of my horses that I typically haul all over the place since we left Houston, and so they've had,
give them a break,
basically nearly a month of a break that they've just been, hanging out. And it's been all the young horses, they've been getting it daily, and it's been good. We've made, pretty good progress whenever that's your only focus every day is on the younger horses. So it's, they're going to be tired of seeing me by the time we get to rodeo.
That's how my garage is going to feel about me. It's like, I got to go back down there just to get out of the house. That's the escape,
Yeah, that's like I said. We've been, Chase Ryan lives here with us, and so he and I we've been. He stays down here through all the winter, and with nowhere to go, so we've been getting some pretty good days in the arena, and so it's like I said, it hasn't been too bad for us.
When you guys are traveling, and I don't know, does Courtney drive some of the time?
Oh yeah, she drives a good bit. Yeah, she drives a good bit. So,
how do you guys spend your time? As far as, do you listen to music? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you doing some work stuff, or is it sleeping? Is it? I mean, that's a lot. Of driving.
We drive a lot in a short amount of time. For 3 months, we probably do the majority of our traveling.
Yeah.
July, the month of July, the 4th of July, they call it Cowboy Christmas, but it's there's a lot of big rodeos in July up, and so you're trying to get as many of them in as you can, and over the 4th of July week, which is basically can consist of up to 8 days if it falls over 2 weekends, but that week basically normally goes for 4 or 5 days, and we go to 8 or 10 rodeos in 4 or 5 days, and so basically when you're not driving, you're sleeping. And but throughout the general deal, like I said, podcasts and radio and Netflix or whatever you've got going on, just trying to, you're sitting in the truck for a lot of times, you find all kinds of things to do, but playing games on your phone or whatever it may be. But we're like I said, in the leisurely time, you get a whole lot more of that in, and then in the summer months, it seems like when you're not driving, you're sleeping.
Yeah, just trying to get caught up.
Just trying to get caught up. Yeah, bouncing around, trying to get caught up on sleep.
Do you ever have a problem with the time changes?
No. And right now in April, if you told me I had to sleep till 8 tonight and then be awake all night long, it would be hard, and through, you kind of just, your body adapts to it a little bit, and the time changes really doesn't seem to affect you as much. And if you're going to get your sleep in, you get it in any time. And if that meant, you told me in July that I needed to drive tonight, then I could probably lay down right about now and sleep till 7 if that was the case, and your body kind of just gets used to sleeping when you can, or you'll get your rest in, and you just, when you're traveling, whether it's early flights or all night drives, if you have the day off, you can, your body typically, the time change doesn't really seem to affect us that much.
I guess I was
goes from, what's that?
I was thinking, and literally just come up with this as we're talking now. Most of your rodeos during the year are daytime rodeos. Is that correct?
No,
or is it split?
Well, so what we have is like is if everybody would possibly, they got like what's called a slack, and so a lot of that would be at some of the rodeos, and that means it's basically either that's typically during the morning, and so a lot of places, if they say at Reno or somewhere specific, if everybody or Casper, Wyoming or somewhere, everybody goes and runs one steer in the slack, and then they bring so many back throughout the performances. And, so you could possibly run both your steers right then in the morning, or you could possibly go in the evening. Right. And so for us, there's not really a specific time. And, some rodeos, most rodeos, Cheyenne and stuff, they're daytime rodeos, but as far as most of the summer rodeos, it's typically hot, and so if you're at Salinas, California, then they're going to have the rodeos in the afternoon, but the days are beautiful out there in July.
Yeah.
But if you're in Dodge City, Kansas, middle of the afternoon is not, it's not a good time. So you have 8:00 at night rodeos to go till 10:30, and then normally you're trying to travel to somewhere else. So you might rope one at Dodge City, Kansas at night, and then roping in the Spicer Grip roping is the next morning in Hereford, Texas, and so you rope one that morning in Dodge City, and then come right back in the performance that night. So you've got to be up at 8, rope at 8 that morning, and then you're downtime all day, and then rope again that night in Dodge City, and then drive all night and be ready to go at 8:00 the next morning at Spicer Grip roping. And so, for us, like I said, you figure out real quick, it's hot in Dodge City, you lay down and get some sleep in the afternoon, because you're not gonna get to get a full night's worth of sleep in the driving throughout the night.
I guess like what I was thinking was, when you go to NFR, you're starting at 7. Basically, it's about 6:30 or about 7:00.
Right.
But that's Vegas time, which is 9:00 at night Texas time.
Yeah.
So do the horses perform differently, or do you do anything prior leading up to Vegas to maybe get them peaking at 9:00 at night versus during the day?
No, not really. I mean, I think what horse would be ready enough to go out there with us would be no different than us. They're used to their hours being so screwed up throughout. That not really. And okay. You kind of have it's a little bit later for them. But basically the day is it just you get in a habit of they basically eat about the same time every day, and for out there, it's not really that much different. We feed them in the morning. We exercise them a little bit throughout the day when we're in Vegas, just to kind of get them out and walk them around a little bit. We don't really exercise them that much, but we get them out and walk them around a little bit, and then they go back in. And typically, we get out there, start getting them ready about 5:00, and like I said, the rodeo starts at 6:45 out there or something like that. And so we just go throughout our day, and then normally we'll feed them all their hay and stuff after out there, just because, like I said, that way we'll normally feed them a little bit before, and then rope, and then they're back get them put back up their stalls and stuff, and then give them their full feeding after.
Yeah. I just didn't know if you had changed any of that because like I talked to some of the athletes that when they trained for the Olympics, and they were getting ready for Japan, And I said, do you start training, because it's like 14 hours difference or whatever. But, so they all were starting to get ready to start changing up their training to kind of match.
Timing wise.
Yeah. So I don't know if you had to do this, if you would do the same thing for the horses just to get them used to.
Yeah, they really adapt to it pretty good.
Okay.
So we don't have to change a whole heck of a lot, but like I said, we've all been there. It doesn't take a couple days out there. You get on Vegas time pretty quick,
or not. for some of us that aren't competing, it's not quite as strenuous. One thing I tell the fans that you have, if you can, let them know what your day is. An average. Let's see, the second Tuesday or the first Tuesday, I guess, of competing.
It's out at Vegas.
Yeah.
That's the thing is for us, the rodeos seem reasonably early at night, it seems like. But it's typically long days for us out there. We get up, just somewhat normal time, it seems like, but, we end up getting up, between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning, and, normally have a little bit of downtime. And then, there's the three big trade shows out there, and so for us, whether you're going to the Stetson Country Christmas and we do a lot of autograph signings throughout the day.
Yeah.
And, we've got a lot of, I'm fortunate enough that now in my career, I've got a lot of good sponsors. And, so for us, we're out there at the trade shows, doing some, autograph and kind of meet and greet deals. And so we typically, those shows open about 10. And so normally I go, we're at 2 or 3, different booths, out there at the trade shows, and they're huge trade shows, that. And so for us, we're out there at the trade shows normally throughout the day, probably 4 to 5 hours a day. And so typically get there, like I said, I normally make, I try not to do anything after 3 o'clock. And so for us, whether it's 10 to 3 or 11 to 3 or whatever that may be, and we go bloomer trailers and we go to the Stetson booth and the Roper booth. And throughout the whole deal, we get all of our Purina and different, everybody has their booths there.
Yeah.
And so we go do the meet and greet stuff for them out there. And it's cool because we get to interact with all the fans and throughout the day, but it's hard. And then we're back to normally I go back to the room, try to get back to the room we go to the rodeo about 5:15. And so I try to be back to the room somewhere shortly after 3. And, we just kind of get back to the room and chill for a second, watch Sports Center, which is more entertaining now than it is, or then than it is now. But,
no kidding.
Catch up on stuff. So, we basically wake up and head out. And, we get back to the room, kind of just chill for a little bit, and then, load up and get ready to go rodeo. And so we load up probably 5 o'clock, 5:15. We head out that way and start taking care of the horses. And it's impossible. I take my best friend, all through high school and stuff, Garrett Wright. He is, in order for us to be able to, he goes with us, and he's great help. And I wouldn't, for us, as many obligations as we have throughout the day, it's impossible to spend enough time with our horses as we normally would when we're traveling. And so he goes out there, he takes care of our horses for us the whole time. So, he gets up in the morning, goes out and feeds, and then, cleans stalls and kind of gets them out a little bit, and then goes back after lunch and then rides. And normally he'll pick me up. He'll be done about 3 o'clock. He'll come pick me up and leave back to the room. We normally grab some lunch, and about 3 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock, grab some lunch, and then he's back to the room and chill, and then back out to the rodeo about 5 o'clock and, do whatever we need to do out there. You rope, and hopefully, when you do good is obviously what you're all looking for, but you do good, and you rope your steer, do good. You go do media, go do some interviews and things like that. Next thing you know, it's 9 o'clock at night, rodeo's getting done. And if you do good and win, around that night, then the buckle deal starts at 11 o'clock, so typically you don't have time for a normal nice dinner. you go to the buckle ceremony from 11 till a little after midnight, and then normally you grab something to eat. And, it's obviously much more enjoyable when you're doing good, but it makes your days a lot shorter, and then you're back to the room. You go to bed normally around, 1:30 or 2 o'clock, and then you're right back up at 7:30, 8 o'clock the next morning, headed back, back out to start your next day exactly the same.
The reason I was asking you that, because one of the days this year when we were leaving in the morning, I saw you waiting out for your truck.
Yeah.
When we were leaving in the van, and I'm like, but I don't have to compete at a world-class level in, 12 hours.
Yeah, our days are definitely, like I said, long.
Yeah.
And, we couldn't do it, it couldn't do what we do without all of our sponsors. And so it's great for us to be able to give back to them that time of year. But like I said, the night parts are easy for us, and that's just normal for us to show up at the rodeo, and and that's the normal. That's what we all do for a living. Is compete, and it's the other things throughout the day that end up making the days. Our days get long. And like I said, it's long, tiring. Like you said, and then you're back out there competing at the rodeos every night out there at and it's a high stress situation. And then, like I said, it makes for some, it makes for some long days.
And for my listeners that are not rodeo fans, what Ryan and his partner have to do, Coleman Proctor, have to do is if they rope in 4 seconds, 4.00, they win 26 grand. If they rope in 4.7 seconds, they win $2,000.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and it's a game of, of tenths of seconds out there, especially. And the faster, obviously, like you said, the faster you are, the better. It's no different than any sort of, it's a timed event, so it's no sort of different than whether you're talking about a motocross race or a BMX race or whether we're talking Olympic swimmers. It comes down, to the very, so a little bit of time makes a huge difference, and just like somebody that's golfing or anything of the sort, if we're not performing, we're not getting paid.
See, my dad would never like team roping. His theory was, because I'm like, hey, let's go golf, let's do something, and he's like, nope. He goes, I never want to play a sport where the better I do, the less I get to play.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? He
Yeah.
goes, yeah. He goes, I'm like, oh shit, you got me on that one. There's just too much logic in that.
Logic in that.
You, like I said, you're talking sometimes 14, 15-hour days for a 4-second ride.
Right.
That's
yeah.
I got all day to make my sales numbers, and you got 4 seconds to make or break.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is, that's the most, that's when you have to be the sharpest part of the day. And so whether that's, for us out there, when I go back, we eat lunch and then go back, and it's basically like you start a fresh day. You're getting ready for to go out that night and go back and chill out for a little bit at the room, and then wake up and shower, and it's basically like you're starting your day fresh right then and ready to go compete, and kind of get your mind back to right after being busy throughout the day. Go back and you want to be. That's when you need to be at your peak for the day, and so not being worn down or tired at that point in time helps your reactions. It helps everything. It helps you perform the best.
Well, mentally, most rodeos, if you get a no time, the next day you're not reminded about it, 15,000 times. Right?
Yeah, we get a lot of good advice the next day. If we mess up, we get to we get back over the convention centers and we typically get quite a bit of advice on how to be better the next night.
I see. This is where I blame my ignorance, my roping ignorance, and I just go do better, don't suck.
Just do better, don't suck. That's pretty much, well, that's basically just, try not to suck. That's basically, it all goes back to it. And it's just like anything. Once you get to a certain point, performance wise, it's just about doing your job. Yeah. And, you can you can overanalyze and overthink, but it doesn't matter, how anything happens. They said Drew Brees is too small. He's been a pretty good quarterback, and sometimes,
Yeah.
You talk about launch angles and all kinds of different stuff. And it's like, at some point in time, if you're good, you're good. You can get out there. The hard thing about it out there is, like you said, you're performing out there on such a big stage so many nights, and you're out there, and so you basically go right back to the same place. If it's not working, you go right back to the same place and have to figure out on the fly what to change. But most of the time, you can overthink stuff, and you can try to, it's just if you go back and a lot of times it's not that major of a change that a guy needs to make, and trying to, you can you get reminded of it, like you said, but from everybody, you see how bad you did the night before. But 10 days in a row, nothing changes. It's the same arena, the same scenario. And a lot of times, it is, you can overanalyze. You have, throughout the day, you're there, and, you're not.
All you're doing is thinking about
thinking about what you did wrong the night before. And, you don't want to get caught up in too much of a mind game, but, just going back out the next day and trying to, like you said, try to be better, try not to suck.
Well, that was my dad's way of wishing me well was, hey, don't suck. All right.
Hey, don't suck. Yeah.
Yeah. But I knew what he meant. It's like, he wasn't at that point, he wasn't going to tell me something that would, make or break me. So. Right.
Well, once you're, once it is, you're not going to get, once you're there, you're not going to get one bit of advice that just flips the switch on everything. There's so much stuff has to go on.
Yeah.
You can't tell somebody to putt better and they're going to go out there and putt better.
Right.
So, you just have to go out there and, and do what you can do.
See, I think golfers go through probably something very similar to what you guys go through, meaning, at a tournament, I golf, but I don't golf day in, day out, 6 days a week, But if I were to meet a golfer after watching him play, I go, hey, on the 14th, you could have, you should have taken more of a break in that because the grass, Because you feel like you can go play that course the next day, and all of a sudden, you're him. Just like a lot of ropers.
With the same thing, But come Sunday, if you've bogeyed the whole 3 days in a row, come Sunday, it's you got to walk up there and figure out something on the fly, but you don't need to change that much, obviously. Like you said, if you're a PGA golfer, there's few things, just like any kind of athlete, there's things everybody needs to improve on. But when you're competing, you need to focus on what you do good, not what you did bad the time before.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a lot of armchair quarterbacks, armchair ropers too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like golfing too.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I can only imagine.
A lot of people, it's different than baseball or something. Cause I know a lot of people play baseball, but as far as the roping and the golfing, there's people, there's not very many 35-year-old, 50-year-old people that are still currently out playing baseball all the time. With golfing, roping, there's people of all ages compete in both sports. So the people that people are actually roping and golfing that are giving you advice on stuff and on what you should have done better, or what you need to do to fix it.
Exactly. And yet, I asked a pro golfer one time.
Pretty good.
I got decent at golf, and I was like, hey, so let me ask you a question. I go, what's the difference between a pro golfer and a pretty good amateur? And he goes, about 1,000 shots a day.
Yeah.
I go, excuse me? He goes, go to the range, take your 5-iron, and hit it for 1,000 times. You're not there to have fun. You're not there to hit your 6-iron or your 4-iron. You go to hit your 5-iron and hit 1,000 balls.
Yeah, same spot.
And I'm like, oh, that sounds like a shitty job.
Yeah, that's the thing when everybody wants to, a lot of people rope, and everybody wants to rope when it's springtime in Texas. If it's been 72 degrees, everybody wants to rope. But, the hardest thing for what we do is obviously we train and compete, practice mostly outside, or at least, covered covered arenas.
Yeah.
And, when it's 38 degrees and halfway sleeting on you, there's not very many of us still out there. And if you want to be good, and that's what you have to do. The amount of loops, we had a guy yesterday, he got on, my horseshoe, I guess a couple of days ago, he got on and hadn't roped in quite some time. He got on and roped 5 steers, and he texted me that night and said, "No, I'm sore." And it's my arm. I hurt everywhere. Well, he's a horseshoer. You think he's in pretty good shape, but it's just a different type of shape. And for us, whether we probably run typically 50, 60, 70, 80 steers a day myself, and live steers.
Yeah.
And then we've got all kinds of other training tools. So, I probably throw hundreds of loops a day, and that's basically what it takes. And that, like you said, just like the golfing deal, that's every day. That's not here and there, and it's not going to work if you don't do it. You have to be comfortable, with that club in your hand. And same thing for us with the rope. You got to be comfortable. You got to be comfortable with your rope. And the more you have it, you can't just go out there and you can't be a professional golfer and go out there to the range and chalk off from 1 to 2 in the afternoon. You're going to go out there and hit some balls and go back and, go get some lunch and hang out the rest of the day. That's not gonna keep you, competing at the level that you need to be at to be beating somebody else is going to be out there doing it.
Well, just like roping, I mean, when you golf, you got to get, what's the ball going to do when it's 50 degrees and it's cold and wet?
Right.
Versus 90 degrees hot and dry.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know what that ball is going to do in all those different situations on a side hill lie, downhill lie, uphill lie, short grass, thick grass, thin grass.
Yeah.
And it's just roping the same way, right? You got to know what it's like roping in the morning for a slack, and you got to know what it's like roping when it's hot, when it's cold. Your ropes are different, right?
Ropes change with the heat. Yep.
Yeah.
Just so you have to, just knowing the difference and knowing what works in different scenarios, different sized cattle, different sized arenas. Just
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, just practicing all different scenarios and just knowing it. That way you're comfortable and it's not something that concerns you.
Yeah. How many loops do you think you've thrown in your life?
I don't have a clue.
Not even
I don't have a clue. Millions. I mean, millions on millions. I honestly don't know. I mean,
you're coming up to a big birthday, but you've literally been around team roping your whole life. I mean, your dad was a world champion.
I've had a rope in my hand since I was born, basically. So, I mean, the amount of loops thrown, I wouldn't even. I mean, hundreds of millions, I guess. I don't really know. I mean, a lot.
Yeah. Especially when you're a kid in the summer.
Yeah, when you're a kid, that's all you do, I probably still throw. I bet I throw 200-300 loops a day. Whether that's on cattle or on
dummies,
practicing on dummies, on anything. Or
people walking by.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just what you do. Yeah, and like I said, it. Basically, if I don't rope for a couple of days, it seems like your arm gets sore type of a deal. So it's just what you, like I said, if I go golf, I might be sore for a day or two, but it's just, keeping keeping your muscles right, what you use.
How long do you think you'll keep going?
I don't have a clue. I'll be 40 this year. I've always had thought, for what I do, you can, people, similar to golfing or something, it's not a football or something, so, team roping, especially heeling, it seems like, once you figure out how to catch 2 feet pretty consistent, you can, your careers can extend pretty good. And I'd always said when I got 35, I was going to, retire and stay home. And, I thought by the time I was getting 35, I all of a sudden realized, when I was young and didn't have any sponsors and didn't have anything going on. And it was like, well, I'd give anything to be able to go out and travel and and rodeo for a living. And then all of a sudden I got 35 and I realized, man, I'm pretty good now. I finally got
figured out.
I've got really good sponsors. I finally got to a point where I'm pretty good. And now I want to just up and, pull up and stay home. And so, I don't really know. I guess it's kind of the,
right.
In this sport as in any, it's you either quit or you get to a point, where you can't compete as well anymore, similar to golf or something. I mean, you can compete as long as you want to. And, I'd always thought the same thing. I've lasted longer than I thought I would, but, I kind of, like I said, I'm going on 5 years past it, and my best years of my career have been the last 5 years, so after I thought I was basically going to quit, I've had some of my better years. And so, I could possibly, I don't know, another 4 or 5 years, maybe, 8-10 years. I really don't know. It's kind of a situation where, if everything keeps progressing and lining out, like it's setting up like it should, then, it might, it's got to where, I enjoy it. And if you can make a good living, there's no point in quitting and trying something new.
Well, I'm a little upset with you, Ryan, because you just talked about the last 5 years being your best years and didn't give me any credit, but whatever.
Well, yeah, you're you definitely, every day I see you at Vegas, you definitely, give me a little luck right there. And like I said, it seems to work pretty good. So I give most of my credit on my last 6 or 8 years, especially my Vegas. I've had such good luck at Vegas, and most of that is because of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, this year bring Coleman by on day one, and we'll get it going.
You bet. Yeah, it'll be good. I'm looking forward to getting back to rodeoing a little bit, and hopefully, like I said, by the summertime, this will all be lined out and we can be back to life as normal. But for us, the little slowdown, it's been, it's kind of been nice getting
it's actually
back
nice
to
talking to you.
You're
the first person I've talked to in quite a while, like in a week or two, that hasn't. You're like, you were going to take this time off anyway, so it kind of worked. It's just like I said, I would have loved to, Houston pays $50,000.
Yeah. I would have loved to
finish that.
Houston. I would have loved to, Austin's a good rodeo. I would have loved to, but it really, for us, we get real busy in the summer months. For us, it like I said, it's a little bit of a slow time for us. It's, we don't have to, everybody, in different types of jobs, people are stressed about what they're going to do. And for us, this is typically a slow time of the year anyhow. And so it doesn't really affect us quite as much as it does a lot of people.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate the time, bud.
Yeah, it was good talking to you, Pete.
Yeah, definitely get caught up. If you come out to the Sheriff's Rodeo out in San Bernardino again, let me know.
I will. That's at the end. Hopefully we have it all wrapped up by then and we don't end up having to come out. But if we do, it's liable to be, this type of year is liable to be a little bit different. So
yeah, I was going to say.
That's liable to be, depending on, we're talking about NBA season pushing back and everything else. We not knowing for sure what's going to happen with our season, whether it gets stretched out a little bit. And that might not be the plumb end of our season during San Bernardino.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, you said one of the rodeos got pushed back to October, right?
Yeah, Corpus Christi down here, their rodeos typically, they moved it this year to, I guess this year it was going to be in May, maybe, into April, early May, and they pushed it back to October. I know quite a few things have gotten, the U.S. Open is here, and they moved it to Fort Worth from Oklahoma City this year, and it was set to be this April, and they moved it also to this maybe September, something like that. So quite our spring's going to be slow, but it sounds like our fall's going to be pretty busy, or busier than typical. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll be the same way. Obviously our spring is going to be way off going into the beginning of summer for clothing sales. as the stores aren't open. So everyone's going to be pushing,
right.
trying to get their numbers throughout all the way through the end of the year.
Right.
So it's going to be a push. So it'll be good.
Yes, sir.
Keep us busy. All right, bud. Well, hey, I appreciate the time. What's the best way for fans or people to kind of follow you and see what you got going on? Is it Instagram or?
Yeah, Instagram's normally pretty good. It's just Ryan Motes. But yeah, Instagram or Facebook. We got a fan page here on Facebook, and so typically those two is the easiest way to keep up with it. When we're traveling, we put a lot of the runs up and a lot of what's going on up. So that's the best.
Well, we'll try and get your fan count up. That way you get even longer lines at NFR for signatures.
That's right.
So we'll keep you busy. Appreciate the time, bud, and I will talk to you soon.
All right, Pete. Thanks.
All right, Ryan. Bye-bye.